Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a tutorial with the Makeup Revolution and Friends palette. I'm super excited to get to be using this today. So first I'm going to go in with the Urban Decay Urban Decay eyeshadow primer in the shade Eden. I like this one a lot. It holds the eyeshadow in place for a really long time. It's also nude colored, so I think it just makes everything a lot more even and well dispersed. After I've rubbed that in with my fingertip completely, I'm going to pick up the palette. I'm so excited to use it today. And I'm going to go in with the first shade, which is called Whiskerton. It is a nude pale eggshell color, and I'm just going to set the eyeshadow primer with that on top, just to make sure that I have an even playing field for all the colors to stick to, and that they don't stick to the eyeshadow primer unevenly. I'm bringing that all the way up to my brow bone just to make sure that that is everywhere. And then I'm going to go in with the shade Cups of Ice and the One Wear. And I'm going to blend those into my crease very gently and softly. I have never used Makeup Revolution before, so I'm not sure how the pigment is on these colors, so I'm going to just pick up small amounts at a time, and then I'm going to start blending them in to my crease, picking up a fluffy brush to do so. You always want to make sure that when you're blending in the crease, you use a larger fluffy brush so that you can cover that. I really like it so far, not bad. They do have quite a bit of pigment. I always love a good pink shade, so I loved creating this pink look. So again, I'm just copying the same thing on the other eye, blending those two colors together just to lay down a base, blending it all out. All right, now I'm going to pick up the palette again, and we are going to go in with the shades The List and Fancy Guest, and I'm mixing those two together, and I'm just going to layer them on top of what I have already gently put in my crease area using the same fluffy brush that I was already using. I could have used a different brush, but I just think that it marries the colors together using the same brush, and I'm going to copy that on the other side. Now I'm just going to be picking up a smaller brush, and I'm going to be picking up the same colors that I was already working with, and I'm just going to be dabbing them on the outer corners of my eye. I'm just blending this down onto the eyelid so that I have more space for the other colors to go, so that I can blend that out a lot easier and make everything blend together. I'm doing small patting motions as well. Taking the shade The One Wear again, and I'm just going to deepen up that outer corner just a little bit to give it a little bit of volume to my eye shape. Basically deepening it up without making it super smoky because I didn't want to create a smoky eye with this, but just to depthen up that little space. Do it again on the other side with tapping motions. And then I'm going to take the color Manhattan and I take the Rachel and I'm going to put these all over my eyelid in the front. I'm using my finger. I'm first using Manhattan. I went over my eyelid with that. This is the first time I've been using Makeup Revolution again, their eyeshadows, so I was pretty impressed with the color payoff and pigment that it had, especially being a drugstore brand, and I'm used to Sephora, so I was pretty impressed with it. Again, I'm just tapping it on my eyelid with my finger. I chose to use my finger instead of a brush because I personally like to rub it and make it more pigmented, and I feel like the brush doesn't always pick up the color. Next, I take the Rachel and I'm using my Catrice setting spray, and I'm just going over what I just did. I wanted it to be a little bit more shiny and a little bit more pigmented. See how better that looks already? So much shinier. Just gives it a little something, and then it will dry down as well. Alright, so now I'm basically just doing the same exact thing that I did again. And I'm just going to be doing it on the other eye, making it more pigmented. See, I was shook. It looked so good. I take the Rachel again and just wanted to brighten it up. I was super impressed with how this turned out. I loved it. And I'm really glad that I got to use it. Now I'm just going to take a fluffy brush and I'm just mixing the color, the List and Fancy Guest again, the same colors I used in my crease to blend it out. Just make sure that there's no glitter in my crease area. And again, just going back in with the same colors on the outer corner to make sure that the depth was not lost when the glitter slash shimmer was applied. Now I'm going to be using that same tiny brush. I just kind of cleaned it off, and I'm going back in with the color Whiskerson. And then I'm going to be applying that on my brow bone to just really lift that area. You always want to highlight the high points of your face, and my brow bone happens to be a high face point, and I'm just going to lighten that up. It's a matte shade, so there's no shimmer involved at all. And I just wiped it away with my finger just to blend it out really nicely so that there wasn't like a white line going across. Woohoo! Now I'm going in with my Tarte Timeless Smoothing Primer. This is an amazing primer, especially if you have large pores. So basically I'm going to rub this only in the areas where I feel that I have enlarged pores or that I get oily. It's a very silicone feeling primer, so it's basically just going to fill in all those little pores that I have all over my face. Next, I'm going in with the Luminous Silk Foundation from Giorgio Armani. I use the shade number 3, and I'm taking a buffing brush, and I'm literally just going to buff that all over my face in circular motions until I am content with how it looks. So now I'm just going to go back in with a little bit more, and I'm going to buff that out on my forehead. Again, this looks very light on my skin right now, but it does oxidize slightly when you use it, so you just want to make sure that you're not getting a color that's way too dark for you. I also blended down my neck a little bit just to make sure that it totally blends. It doesn't look like I'm wearing a mask, especially after it oxidizes. Then I'm going in with my Hourglass concealer, and I'm just going to put that underneath my eyes and anywhere I feel like I really need it. And I'm just using a small brush to do that. Alright, so I thought that I was going to be going in with my Chanel bronzer, but I'm actually going to be going in with my Hourglass setting powder, and I'm going to be setting my entire face using that. It's a very seamless powder. I have dry skin and I can use it all over my face, so I'm using a small angled brush. I'm going to go in places like underneath my eyes, get that all settled. I'm going to go in the smaller places, like around my nose and on my chin. Just going to sweep that all over and switch brushes to a larger one and sweep that all over my face. Next, I'm going to be going in with my NARS blush. This is in the shade Orgasm, and I'm going to be using a small pointed brush for the cheeks, and I'm just going to pat and apply this, smiling so I know where the apples of my cheeks are, and I'm going to drag it up a little bit. It is a little bit of a shimmery pink champagne color, so I'm just going to put it all over my cheeks. Smile just so I can get that right angle and not bring it down too low. Put a little on my nose and my forehead to blend it out. Then I'm going to take a fluffier brush and go in with my favorite bronzer of all time, which is the Physicians Butter Bronzer. And I'm going to put this all over the perimeters of my face and on my nose as well to give me a more bronzy look. And again, I'm just doing the entire perimeter of my face. I really like to make sure that I get in the hairline and just not at the edge of the hairline. That way it blends naturally into the rest of my face and gives me that more natural glow as opposed to a strip of bronzer across my forehead. Then I'm going to be taking my Too Faced highlighting palette, which I'm obsessed with, and I'm going to be taking the two shades at the end that are not sparkly, and I'm going to be putting them on the high points of my face, which are my cheekbones and the tip of my nose. Sometimes I put it up the bridge of my nose and on the top of my lip. So I started to notice in the video while editing this part how much dust and flyaways I actually have from the powder, and I can't believe that I was breathing that in the whole time. Craziness. Well, anyway, moving on. What are we gonna do next? Now we're gonna do my eyebrows and my mascara. I always like to use the same things. I'm a little boring, and I end up finding my Hourglass pencil, which is my favorite pencil to use on my eyebrows, and I use it in the shade Warm Brunette, and I just start combing it through. I like to start at the bottom of my brow. I brush them all the way up. I start on the front. I make a line from the front to the back, and then I start on the tails as well, and I just like to do hair-like strokes to blend that all through. You'll notice that I spend a lot of time on the tail of my brow. On either side, I actually have bald spots, so I like to make sure that I take my time to fill those in so that they don't look patchy. So now we're moving on to the other brow. I'm just going to kind of zoom through this one since it's going to be exactly the same on the other side. Next, I'm going to be taking my Anastasia Brow Gel in the shade Clear, and I'm just going to be raking this through my brows. I like that my eyebrows look fluffy, but sometimes I like that my tails look more sleek, so I just kind of go through using that. Next, I'm going to go in with all of my actually all-time favorite mascaras, which would be the Lash Brag from Anastasia Beverly Hills. It is amazing at separating lashes, and I would say that by far it's one of my favorite mascaras. I've never really understood how people get their eyelashes perfectly separated, and then I found this mascara and fell in love. So I would absolutely recommend it. It doesn't smudge or get anywhere either, which I am absolutely a fan of. All right, and finally, after about 40 years about me putting mascara on, this is what my eyelashes look like all separated, and I'm just finishing it out, and then I go in with a smaller brush. It's kind of pointed, and then I'm going to take that highlighting palette and mix, sometimes I mix the two shades together, sometimes I just take that one brighter one, and I'm going to put it in my inner corner to make my eyes look bigger than they actually are, and to make me look more awake and alive, because in fact, 98% of the time I am exhausted. So it's a fun little trick. Then I'm going to go in with another brush, and I'm going to be taking the same shade as earlier, and I'm just going to be raking that underneath my eyes. And again, the name of that shade is Fancy Guest, so I'm just taking Fancy Guest, and I'm going to be running it underneath my eyes just so that the entire look is blended together and it just seamlessly is a look in one, and I have something going on underneath my eyes. Then I'm taking the same Makeup Revolution Friends collection. This is their lip gloss in the shade Joey, which was so cute. It had hot dogs on it and sandwiches, and it smelled amazing. And I put this on, and I have to tell you, for a drugstore lip gloss, this was pigmented. And I had to wipe it away and blend it in with my finger because I was so shocked with how pigmented it was that I was not ready. It was a little bit sticky, and it was a little bit too pinky nude for me. I wasn't expecting it. I thought it would be more sheer. So I actually got another lip gloss, which is Monica. It had the little friends frame on it. And then I'm going to go back in and use that on top of the Joey lip gloss. That one didn't smell as nice. But it was a really pretty lip gloss. It had a little bit of like shimmer to it, which I was okay with. Sometimes I'm not really that great with glitter, but this one was cute. Adjusting the lip gloss, I noticed that I had gotten it all over my face, so I just used that foundation brush from before to just kind of buff it around around my chin and my lips to get it seamless. And then I took my Catrice setting spray, which is the glowy one, and I just set my entire face using that. It smells really good. It also makes you look really dewy. And I use the ColourPop Pretty Fresh setting mist, which is one of my favorite. It smells like oranges, and it's a really light mist that just really does it. So yeah, this was my full look using the Friends and Makeup Revolution palette. I did not use eyelashes. I just, lived my best life with this pink moment. And I am absolutely in love with it. And I would definitely recommend it to anyone who loves Friends or loves Makeup Revolution. This is my final look, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for coming.